This week on Spoke TV, we have a look at a Capstone design challenge at University of Waterloo.
We're looking for students that have a lot of confidence, that they've done a substantial project that has both impact and innovation.
Also, Ontario started a 3-year anti-racial strategic plan last year that aims at moving Ontario forward. And many local families enjoyed a scenic St. Patrick's Day.
It's really fun with kids. My son's having a super fun time, so it's really nice.
Hello, and welcome to Spoke TV, Conestoga College's weekly news show produced by second-year journalism students. I'm Connor Morgan.
And I'm Nadia Alawad. University of Waterloo electrical and computer engineering students displayed their work at an annual event. Christian Apostolovsky has more from the event.
The Capstone Design Challenge took place March 21st at the University of Waterloo. The competition saw electrical and computer engineering students working to create a variety of projects. Some of the displays included automated tennis servers to sensors for automatic cars and robots. Bill Bishop, faculty member in computer and electrical engineering, is judging the projects at the event. He's looking for a project that displays expertise.
Presentations that really stand out. We're looking for students that have a lot of confidence, that they've done a substantial project that has both impact and innovation.
More than 750 students across 12 programs will be presenting more than 150 projects they have spent their time designing. On March 27th, teams that have qualified will compete for $60,000 in a pitch presentation funded by the Esch Foundation.
Here at the Davis Center, on campus of the University of Waterloo, students had their work on display from the field of computer and electrical engineering at the Capstone event.
A group of students this year created an automated spice dispenser in hopes it would solve the problem of using spices while cooking.
The problem that we're solving is that when people cook at home, especially for Indian dishes, it starts with 10 to 15 spices. It takes a while to take them out, measure them properly, and then put it back.
Acer Wang and his group worked to provide a solution for this problem.
So the solution that we're trying to have is to be able to dispense all the spices in the accurate amount within a very short period of time.
For Spoke TV, I'm Christian Apostolovsky.
A prank with purpose. One Laurier student took matters into their own hands to stop a presentation from taking place. Students at Wilfrid Laurier University are divided after a right-wing guest speaker had her session canceled March 21st because of a pulled fire alarm. Faith Goldie describes herself as a Catholic nationalist for Christ, the King and country. Goldie appeared on a podcast associated with a neo-Nazi American website giving her ties to the far right hand. Goldie was supposed to be the first speaker in Laurier's Unpopular Opinion Speakers series hosted by the unofficial student club called the Laurier Students for Open Inquiry. Giving somebody who is a known white supremacist that kind of platform is in no way academic freedom. It is in no way freedom of expression, one student said. Being in favor of allowing someone to speak does not mean that you are unequivocally in support of what they say, said David Haskell, a religion and culture professor who is also on Laurier's task force on freedom of expression. Goldie promised she would return, although no date has been set.
In 2017, the Ontario government created an anti-racism strategic plan meant to move people forward. Cassetta Black brings us more on this story.
Ontario has a 3-year anti-racism strategic plan with the mission of a better way forward. Raina Laurendy is a Muslim chaplain at the University of Waterloo. Laurendy feels some of the racism she experienced is based on lack of knowledge and exposure.
Internet is on just one click away. Please do research, please question everything that comes your way. We should be doing this anyway in the world, like we question everything, but it's specifically when it comes to the prejudice and biases and stereotypes and stuff like that, we really need to question what we are fed, and we really need to question our own understanding all the time, every time, and you'll be surprised how better off you yourself will be learning more about yourself as well in the process.
Diane Verneil is the MPP of Kitchener. Verneil knows about racism firsthand, being from an immigrant family. That's why Verneil has included racial unity as a part of her political agenda.
Soon after the attack in Quebec, where 6 men who were praying in a mosque were targeted and were shot and killed. They were shot in the back and they died. I had a conversation with some community leaders in the Muslim faith, and we talked about how can we dispel myths. There are people within our society who have certain values, certain attitudes that need to be addressed. And I thought, if we have a town hall, bring people together and have that conversation, that is a step in having that conversation and in trying to address issues of fear and discrimination and misinformation.
Police are working hard to manage the rise in hate crimes and collaborating with political officials to create solutions and teach tolerance.
And more about the Muslim faith and understand about some of the challenges and the barriers that are faced. And in particular, any time that we can learn more about our community, more about the issues, more about other cultures, religions, those things help us to do a better job. You know, and also to understand that, you know, in Canada, we have a different connection as police officers to government than in some other countries. We have a different connection as police officers to politics in some other countries. We are really a service for the people to provide, regardless of your economic background, your religious background, your cultural background, we provide the same service without bias to everyone. So we really need to understand, you know, what people's experiences are in order to really do that job effectively. So, you know, I'll be able to talk to some of the people that I work with and continue to do the work we have been doing over the last number of months and years to understand different parts of our community and to be helpful to them.
Laurier wants to encourage people to reach out, don't assume, ask questions, and don't be afraid of difference.
Everyone is responsible. We are in this together. It's not me or you or one person. Everybody is in this together. I think.
For Spoke TV, I'm Cassetta Black.
Thanks, Cassetta. No one likes getting stuck in traffic or finding out once you get to the end of the road that the road is closed off. We've got your guide to steering clear of upcoming and ongoing road work here in Kitchener. As construction season commences here in the Waterloo region, you can expect lane reductions and other impacts on traffic for several major roads. In the spring and summer, King Street will be down to a single lane of traffic in both directions between Montgomery Road and Ottawa Street. An $8.6 million reconstruction project will leave Weber with one lane of traffic westbound, with work expected to finish in 2019. Homer Watson Boulevard between Manitou Drive and Conestoga Boulevard will also be down to one lane in traffic in each direction as part of a $7.4 million project including road resurfacing.
A large number of students are skipping breakfast according to a study conducted by the University of Waterloo. The study notices the eating habits of 42,000 students from 87 high schools in Ontario and Alberta. It found that 39% of students will eat breakfast fewer than 3 days in a typical week. Caitlin Godden, a PhD student and lead author of the study, talks about why the students skip breakfast.
Breakfast skipping is associated with various adverse health outcomes, social outcomes, and what many of us care about in particular is academic outcomes. So breakfast programs have really emerged from this problem of breakfast skipping.
Balancing school and social life can be hard for students to get a morning meal. According to Godden, the breakfast programs in Canada are not up to their full potential because of lack of economic support.
Coming up, with the 2018 Major League Baseball season fast approaching, Connor Morgan will sit down with Spoke TV's Mike Stromey to give you predictions and talk about where the Toronto Blue Jays stack up in the AL East.
With spring weather just around the corner, sports fans know that the boys of summer won't be too far behind. Here to preview the 2018 Major League Baseball season is Spoke TV sports analyst Mike Stromey. Mike, how are you doing today?
Pleasure to be here. I'm doing well.
Excellent. Okay, let's start with the defending champs, the Houston Astros. The team was quite the juggernaut down the stretch and into October to take down the vaunted Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series. They began the season as the World Series favorites. Do they have the tools to repeat?
Connor, it's really tough for a team, and I don't care what sport you play, it is really tough to repeat as a champion. But I think the Houston Astros have the tools to do it. They are a very young team. They have a lot of young talent at the top of that roster. And even at the bottom, they have a lot of guys who can hit the ball out of the ballpark. They went out in the offseason. They got Garrett Cole from the Pittsburgh Pirates. He is a stud. He's an ace-type pitcher, and he's their fourth starter right now. This team went deep into October and into November last season, and I think they could very well repeat. They definitely have the tools to do it.
Well, since you were just talking about rotations, who do you think has the strongest rotation in the MLB going into the 2018 season?
You know what, the Los Angeles Dodgers have two really good pitchers in Clayton Kershaw and Alex Wood. You can't, when you bring up rotations, you have to talk about the Washington Nationals with Steven Strasburg and Max Scherzer. But I think from top to bottom, I'm going to go with the aforementioned Houston Astros. Just through one through five, they don't have any holes in that rotation. Justin Verlander, who they acquired from the Detroit Tigers early on last season for their stretch drive, is back. He is their ace, and I look for him to have another great season. Nice veteran pitcher to add to the top of that rotation.
Right on. Sticking to the American League, is there any teams that you want us to watch or look out for?
I think the Cleveland Indians are a team that you should have your eye on. Much like the Houston Astros, they have a lot of young talent. They have guys like Francisco Lindor and Jose Ramirez, a couple of good young bats, and I think they should easily take the American League Central. A team I'm interested to see how they pan out this year is the Los Angeles Angels. Over the offseason, they went and got Shohei Ohtani, who is considered to be the Japanese Babe Ruth, so to speak, mainly because he can go in there and he can start a game for you and throw like upper 90s fastballs. And then the day after, he can be your DH and hit the ball out of the ballpark. I saw a report out of spring training that he hit a ball 500 feet in batting practice. Mind you, that was spring training, batting practice, etc. But this guy clearly has power, and he should be an interesting asset to this Los Angeles Angels team. Another team to watch as far as the wild card team is concerned, the Minnesota Twins, just given the fact that the AL Central is very weak at the back end, and they could get a lot of wins just beating up on their own team. And I think the hometown team, the Blue Jays, are a rather interesting team to watch come spring.
Interesting. Well, as I'm sure a lot of viewers are curious about, their local team, the Toronto Blue Jays. What are you expecting from them this year?
You know, there's the general expectation around this team, around baseball, and around the area really, is that they're not going to be very good. They have a couple of prospects. They're going to be a few years away from contending. I'm going to go on the contrary. I think they can win anywhere between 75 and 85 games. I think they can contend for that second wild card spot. I look at their rotation, their starting pitching rotation, and they're not any worse off than the Boston Red Sox, than the New York Yankees. They can contend there. You get a full season out of Aaron Sanchez, who missed a lot of 2017 with blister problems. Those aren't arm problems. That's not wear and tear on that arm. He can come back healthy. He was the leader in ERA in 2016, so to have him back in the rotation is a big boost. Over the offseason, this team lacked a lot of versatility in 2017. They went out and got a lot of guys for 2018, like Youngvars, Solarte, Litmas Diaz, Curtis Granderson, and Randall Grichuk. These are guys who can play multiple positions for in the outfield. They can bat on different sides of the plate. They lacked a little bit of, they were very right-handed last year. Guys like Solarte and Diaz can play multiple positions and contribute offensively. So I think they quietly addressed what they were missing last season, and I'm actually cautiously optimistic about the Blue Jays coming into this year.
Excellent. So any last predictions before the start of the season? Who do you think is going to win it all?
Who do I think is going to win it all? I think it's going to be a mashup between last year's World Series champs, the Houston Astros, and the 2016 champs, the Chicago Cubs. Like I said, I really love what the Astros have as far as their lineup is concerned. The Cubs got off to a really slow start last year, but I think a lot of that was a World Series hangover. I mean, you don't win a World Series for over 100 years. There's no bigger high than that. They got off to a slow start last year. They finished strong. They came into the playoffs. I think they can continue where they left off in 2017, bring that to 2018, and meet up with the Houston Astros in the World Series. A formal divisional matchup, mind you. They both used to play in the NL Central just a few years ago.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our show today, Mike. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to the beginning of the 2018 MLB season.
Anytime, Connor. It's always a pleasure.
In other sports, playing the two best teams in the league in a span of 3 days, the Toronto Maple Leafs are in action tonight, visiting the Western Conference leading Nashville Predators. The Leafs lost Tuesday after blowing a 3-goal lead to the Eastern Conference leading Tampa Bay Lightning. With playoffs in sight, tonight will be another statement game to see where the blue and white stack up against the best in the league. Some good news for the Leafs, as they will get star forward Austin Matthews back tonight after missing 10 games with a shoulder injury. Nikita Zaitsev will also draw back into the lineup tonight after missing 5 games with an illness. Some sad news in the NHL as Ottawa Senators star defenseman Erik Karlsson and wife Melinda lost their son this week to a miscarriage. The couple made a statement on Twitter Wednesday thanking their supporters for their condolences and respecting their privacy. The Senators will give Karlsson all the time he needs in this difficult time. In NBA news, the Toronto Raptors lost a heartbreaker to the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday after dominating the first half, scoring a franchise record-tying 79 points. Once again, LeBron James took over and didn't look back, scoring a team-high 35 points to go with 17 assists. Sticking to the hardwood, March Madness will continue tonight with the Sweet 16 tipping off. The first game of the evening will see Loyola Chicago take on Nevada. Then we'll see Texas A&M take on Michigan. The third game sees Kansas State taking on Kentucky. And the final game of the evening will have Florida against Gonzaga. That's all for sports. Back to you, Nadia.
Thanks, Connor. In entertainment news, here's one mixtape you didn't anticipate. Wendy's, yes, the food chain, took to Twitter to promote the company's upcoming musical release. The tweet featured a picture of a single burger patty placed on a white background with the words, "We beefin'," directly under, similar to that of notorious rapper Biggie Smalls' Ready to Die. The caption for the tweet reads, "Fresh, never frozen beats." The mixtape is said to be dropping on March 23rd, 2018. Queen Elizabeth's birthday concert this year will be quite the shindig. The 92-year-old's performance lineup includes artists such as Shaggy and Shawn Mendes, but it doesn't stop there. Also expected to appear on the eclectic musical roster at this star-studded event are artists including Craig David, Sting, Ladysmith Black Mambazo, and more. The concert will take place on April 21st at London's Royal Albert Hall. BBC One and BBC Radio 2 will be airing the concert on television. Pablo Escobar's brother, Roberto Escobar, has just launched his very own cryptocurrency. The currency is being called Diet Bitcoin, or DDX, and is described by Escobar as his gift to the people. Escobar's interesting reasoning behind the coin's inception is that he is a firm believer many of these coins are scams, and he wished to create something that will truly be a forever lasting coin. Diet Bitcoin is being marketed as a committed opponent to Bitcoin and will reportedly be lighter and faster than its competitor.
3 daytime specially scheduled recreational rides for St. Patrick's Day attracted big crowds. Many young families enjoyed their Saturday aboard the passenger train on a historic railway between St. Jacobs and Elmira. Sandra Shimpraga has more.
The unique celebration of St. Patrick's Day was on the 100-year-old historic train organized by Waterloo Central Railway in St. Jacobs.
This is about a 1 hour and 40-minute ride. It's a turnaround ride, so you start at the market and you end up at the market. We have stops in St. Jacobs. We have a stop in Elmira. You can get off in St. Jacobs, go shopping, and jump on the next train coming back as well. It's a jump on, jump off kind of environment. People come out to experience history and have a great family day.
The majority of passengers were young families. The Kaufman family was one of them.
It's really fun with kids. My son's having a super fun time, so it's really nice. We're looking for something to do with my son.
13% of population in Canada is of Irish descent, but many more are celebrating St. Patrick's Day here on this train and all around Canada and world. Many passionate volunteers are included in this train's operation.
The people actually working at Waterloo Central Railway are volunteers. We all definitely have one thing in common. We all love trains. Every time we pull into the station, I ask people, how many times have you been on a train before? I'm shocked by the number of people that have never ever been on a train. Well, it's definitely something you're missing.
If you don't want to miss out on this experience, you can take the next thematic train ride scheduled on Easter. For Spoke TV, I'm Sandra Shimpraga.
Thanks, Sandra. The next train will depart on Easter weekend. The Easter Bunny and his friends will make an appearance riding aboard the Easter Extravaganza train. For more information, go to waterloocentralrailway.com. That Easter train looks interesting. Have you ever been on a train?
I have actually. It was quite some time ago, only once in my life. So yeah, I can't say I've been on anything like that before, but that's all we have for you this week. For more stories and information, visit our website at spoketv.ca and follow us on Twitter at spoketv.